A place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of Darkness on the Edge of Town Sunday night special. I'm here in the studio with Mr. Tim Dennis. Good evening, Tim.
Evening.
Well, boy, we had a crazy weekend. I was out at the Mid-South Paranormal Conference in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, you were.
We will talk about that in a minute. I do want to make a special announcement if I can.
We're getting married?
Yes.
Okay. No?
You know, you make some good friends in this field, and you get a chance to work with a lot of your mentors, people that are leaders in the field of different aspects, you know, demonology, ghost hunting, parapsychology, psychic development. And, you know, one of the guys that we've always leaned on, Tim, for help is John Zaffis. Mm-hmm. And today, while I was out at the Mid-South Paranormal Conference, I got a distressing couple of contacts from people. I would just like, you know, we do a lot of the healing and prayer requests through our page at MySpace. You can go to myspace.com/thedarknight. That's my personal MySpace page there for the show. And let us know if you have prayer or healing requests for people. And we will post them. And we have a great community of people out there that will, you know, pray, send Reiki, energy, healing, good vibrations, try to help people out. And we've had amazing results. Well, today, from what I understand, John Zaffis' wife suffered what I guess is believed to be at this point a massive stroke.
Oh, geez.
And so we really need prayers and good feelings and energy being sent. You know, this is a strange field. We run into a lot of backbiting, backstabbing, fighting, gang wars between different paranormal groups. But when we all come together as a community, things change. Mm-hmm. I'm asking for everybody out there to help out and pray to whoever you believe in. Send your energy, send your positive thoughts out to John Zaffis and his wife, Cheryl, I believe her name is Cheryl, and just help support them through this very tough time and be with John Zaffis' family as well. So with that said, you're in our thoughts. We wish you the best, Johnny. You know, Darkness Radio loves you. We're here for you. Now we'll get into the Mid-South Paranormal Conference. This was an interesting time. I had a good time again. I want to thank the guys with the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society, Keith Age and his great group out there. They always put on a fun show. Tim, I don't know, it's kind of a you know, paranormal wet dream. I got to hang out with somebody I was really excited to meet. You know, one of my favorite people out there is Harry Houdini, right?
He's still alive?
Yes. Can you believe it? No, Harry Houdini. You know, Houdini's just been like one of my idols. I just love the guy's story and his history. And I got to meet the last living Houdini, Aaron Houdini, this weekend. Oh, yeah? And we got a chance to sit and hang out and talk. As a matter of fact, I went with him and his lovely bride, Emily, out to see the Dracula play. Mm-hmm. We just had a great time getting to know each other. And then I was invited by the Booth Brothers and by Aaron. They were filming him today doing the famous straitjacket escape. Mm-hmm. And I got to be in the room with him as he escaped. And it was an amazing moment. It was just so cool and surreal to be there and watch him do this famous escape that his great granduncle, I believe is how it breaks down, was able to do. So that was pretty exciting.
And after he was done with that, he pulled a quarter out of your ear and said, "You need to wash better?" Yes,
exactly.
I knew it.
No, he was very cool. And he was at his table talking to people, and, you know, he had a couple of props of his great-uncles right there on site, the old guillotine and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just some fun stuff. He was a really nice guy. He and his beautiful lady, they were just very kind. He was doing magic tricks for people all weekend at his table and just mystifying and having fun. And it was cool because I was sitting at a different angle. And usually if you're at a different angle watching a magician, you can see what they're doing because they're not focused on you. They're focused on misdirecting the person in front of them. And from an angle, I couldn't watch it. This guy had no flaws.
Really?
There was, I don't know how the hell he was doing what he was doing. It was beautiful. So that was really exciting for me to get a chance to do that.
Is he on the same path as his great uncle in debunking psychics?
You know, we briefly spoke on that, and yeah, he has his thoughts over. We hung out with Robbie Thomas most of the weekend, and I want to say this too. This guy is a great guy, Robbie Thomas, psychic medium. He's from Canada. Looks like we're brothers. We got the same hairdo, same goatee, same gray at the bottom of it, Tim. The only thing is that separates us is he wears 2 earrings.
Well,
I refuse.
You need to catch up then.
I know. So, but a great guy. We had a good time hanging out with him. Just a wonderful group of people. Patrick Burns, of course, our friend who's going to be with us here later on this evening, was out at the event. Tim Yancey and his beautiful wife Trish and Jason Gowan from Encounters Radio, the guys from Ghostly Talk. It was just a really nice, fun community. Had a good chance to hang out with everybody. So it was a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. They're going to be back again next year. I do want to make a quick mention. We do have some stuff up on the site for new trips. I do apologize because I was out of town. I didn't get the UFO trip up as promised tonight. It will be on the site by tomorrow night. I'll have everything wrapped up. We are going to be doing a trip to the UFO Ranch, Gilliland's Ranch, next August 2009. We're booking it now. That leads me into this quick little bit of information. Tomorrow night, Tim.
Yes.
Paranormal State.
Oh.
On A&E.
Is that required watching?
Everybody must watch it.
Really?
Yes, because I'm on the episode. What kind of co-host and producer friend are you to not tune in and watch me?
I have this Tupperware party I have to be at.
Yes, well, if I'm giving up my, Pure Essence candle party, you can give up a Tupperware party, all right?
I don't know. It's good Tupperware. Yeah.
But I'm going to be on Paranormal State tomorrow night. They're going to be doing a UFO episode, and we go out to Gilliland's Ranch, and that's where we're going to do the live investigation in August. So check Monday night. It will be on our site. We'll have everything up there for you, and you can join us out. We're going to have a great time. Everybody's going to camp out right there. Bring your tents. Bring this, and it's all part of the ticket price. And you get to hear some great talks on UFOs, and we're going to have skeptics and believers alike doing talks at this. It's going to be a really, really fun time, so I hope everybody can join us for this, and it will be on the site. I guarantee there'll be at least a basic bob on there for you, so you can click it, read a little bit about it, and sign up. It will be on there tomorrow.
I'm always good with the basic bob. It's better than a bowl cut.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Plus, you look kind of like Dorothy Hamill with the basic bob.
A little bit.
All right, we're going to go to our beautiful national news correspondent.
I don't get my shout-out tonight?
Oh, you got a shout-out?
Yeah, a little bit.
What's your shout-out?
A little bit. Well, as we speak right now, over at the Artist Quarter in St. Paul, a friend, colleague, and mentor to me, Leigh Cameron, is being honored over there tonight. I couldn't make it tonight, but I just wanted to say hope you're doing well, Leigh, and thank you for the time I had with you over there on the Jazz Image.
All right, very cool.
So there you go.
All right, well, now can we get into talking to a beautiful news correspondent?
Don't let me stop you.
All right, good deal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the beautiful state of Missouri, our national news correspondent, Bree Sanders. Good evening, Bree. Oh, you want me to actually bring her up on the line, Tim? I thought you were doing that stuff.
No, I have to do that?
But the producer, that's his job. Hey, Bree, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good. Thanks a lot for joining us again tonight. I hear you got a bunch of good stories for us, huh?
I do.
Tim, it was funny, as I'm sitting at the bar, as I was sitting at a table discussing the paranormal with Robbie Thomas on the first night of the conference, and he's telling me about some of the stuff he did, I called Bree on the phone during that, and I said, do some research for me, Bree. I want to know if this cat's real or not. So I sent her off to read some stories. So you're going to share a story about Robbie Thomas at Psychic with us in a little bit, right?
Right.
Yeah, but see how good these news correspondents are, Tim?
I know.
I throw them a bone, and sometimes they listen and they go look it up for us.
They have lives too,
What do we got? What do we got to start off with tonight, Bree?
All right, I have a little funny story to start off with.
Okay.
I read this week that a 71-year-old man has had a pregnancy scare in Portland, Oregon. Now, the man checked into his local hospital complaining of severe abdominal pain, and the staff informed the man that he was pregnant. But it was discovered later that a computer error generated an incorrect medical report, and the man was just sent home with pain pills.
It was reported that Dave was nowhere near the 71-year-old man at the time of his diagnosis, too. So, yeah.
I am fertile. Wow, that is frightening. So, how is he? He's like, how am I going to explain this to my wife?
How scary is that, though? I mean, these are the people that you trust with your life.
And how scary is it that they didn't question it, that they just came in and said,
That's what I mean. That's crazy.
that they said, hey,
Anyway.
by the way, you're pregnant. And, the computer says so it must be true.
Right.
Oh, that's terrifying, completely and 100% terrifying.
Poor little guy.
Yeah. All
Anyway.
right. What do we have next?
I have some celebrity news. I've got Dane Cook, the well-known comedian/actor,
Right.
has moved out of his West Hollywood apartment. Actually, he was evicted from his apartment, which he claims is haunted. And this is an apartment complex that's pretty well known. John Belushi and Steve Martin both lived in it previously.
Oh, okay.
And Dane Cook was evicted for failing to live up to the agreement that he would pick up after his dog on the lawn. So he was kicked out. He took it to court. He asked the judge to throw out the eviction order because he feared that if he moved out of the haunted building, he would suffer from writer's block or something, and his career would just go in the toilet. But he settled the case anyway and moved out into a comfortable mansion, I'm sure, in the Hollywood Hills. So.
But let's hope he doesn't get any more, brain freeze, because we just want more Employee of the Month too,
We
right,
do.
Tim?
I know.
Absolutely.
Oh, jeez. Dane Cook, where have ye gone? All right, so he's blaming his mind freeze on the fact that he was in a bad place and just couldn't get around it, and that's why he couldn't pick up dog poop?
No, actually, he was in a good place when he was in the building.
But because he couldn't pick up because he wouldn't pick up dog poop, they told him to get out. I gotcha. Oh, okay.
But he didn't want to go because he thought the building had something to do with his success as a writer.
Interesting. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, more celebrity news. Dennis Quaid is going to be starring in a new sci-fi film called Pandorum. I believe it's pronounced Pandorum.
Okay.
The film follows a pair of crew members that are aboard a spaceship who wake up with no knowledge of their mission or their identities. And this movie's supposed to take place, I think, 200 years into the future, something like that.
Really?
And at that time, at the time, 200 years from now in the movie, Earth is dying because of global warming or something, climate change, basically.
Oh, some kind of sci-fi thing. I gotcha.
Right. Humans are migrating off of the Earth to live someplace else. I guess they found some other place that's inhabitable by humans at that point, and they're leaving Earth, and the two men vow to save mankind. Something happens, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure it'll be great.
All right, very cool. And when does that come out, did it say?
It didn't say. I think I don't even know.
Slated for June. It sounds like one of those summer blockbusters for next year. All right, that's cool.
Probably.
All right,
Yeah.
next?
Now I have a story. It's a little bit lengthy, but it ties into something going on with Bill Maher right now, the comedian and talk show host. There was a new study released by Baylor University last week, and it's called What Americans Really Believe. And this shows that traditional Christians are less likely to believe in paranormal and pseudoscience than people from more liberal religions. And the Gallup organization, which takes all the polls and stuff, they conducted a survey asking American adults a series of questions like, do dreams foretell the future? Did ancient civilizations exist like Atlantis? And can places be haunted? Is it possible to communicate with the dead? All those things. And they asked whether or not they believed in things like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. And according to polls, 31% of people who were non-religious believed in these things, and only 8% of people who attend church more than once a week did. I mean, more than once a week, that's quite a bit. That's a pretty religious person, I would say. But so I don't know how accurate that is, but it's not a new belief. In 1983, there was a writer named Martin Gardner, and he said that the decline of traditional religious beliefs among educated people is one of the causes for an increase in cults and superstitions. But while increased church attendance and membership in a conservative religion has a negative effect on paranormal beliefs, higher education does not. 2 years ago, a study was done that showed that less than 25% of college freshmen admitted to believing in ghosts, demonic possession, haunted houses, witches, or clairvoyance. But the number jumped to 31% when they were seniors and 34% when they were graduate students.
Wow,
so it kind of rose the more, educated they became, which I don't know if it's just from life experience at that point because they're a few years older or if it actually has anything to do with education. But now this whole study comes about right as Bill Maher is due to debut his documentary. It's called Religulous. And it's coming out October 3rd. And in it, I guess he attacks religious beliefs. He's pretty outspoken guy. Everybody knows that. But I guess he's pretty offensive to people of all religions. He speaks to Hasidic scholars, Jews for Jesus, Muslims, polygamists, Satanists, and creationists. So, he's all across the board. And then he tells viewers, and this is his quote, he said, "The plain fact is that religion must die for man to live." He's a self-proclaimed atheist, and he's made a lot of crude comments about people and their religious beliefs before, calling them irrational, But, atheists like him, they're convinced that a society with less traditional religious beliefs would lead to a smarter and a more scientifically literate and civilized population. But these studies have shown that that's not necessarily what it will create. It will probably just create a more superstitious society, according to statistics. But
right. Well, that's interesting.
What were you going to say, Dave?
I said, well, that's interesting, yeah.
It seems like, as far as when I was looking at the article, there's most of the quotes and things coming from people. They're using quotes from celebrities and all this stuff that comes out of Hollywood. There's just a lot of jabs thrown at people, who still kind of hold their religious beliefs dear. It's kind of like the politics in Hollywood and stuff. It just annoys me to death. But he's just a perfect example of that.
Very cool.
This, I guess, yeah. And he even, he talks about religious people being completely irrational. And then he's one of the most irrational people as far as
he's nuts.
He went on David Letterman a few years ago and told David Letterman to stop taking his pills that his doctor gave him after he had the quadruple bypass or whatever he had. And he said on his show that he doesn't believe in vaccinations. He doesn't believe in the germ theory. He doesn't believe in germs, basically Louis Pasteur's theory. He doesn't even believe that I think it's a Salk vaccine that eradicated polio. He doesn't even believe that. He's a strange one, But
yet anyway. He's still putting little kids' teeth underneath his pillow trying to collect money, isn't he? That bastard. We got to take a break, Bree. We're going to take a break. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. We'll be back with more news of the weird from around the world and the United States with our lovely correspondent, Bree Sanders. And you're listening to the best in paranormal talk radio right here with you every Saturday and Sunday night, 9 p.m. to midnight. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, my lovely co-host and producer, Mr. Tim Dennis, sitting across the board from me. We're going through national news with our correspondent from the lovely state of Missouri. We have Bree Sanders on the line with us. And stay tuned. At the end of the segment, we're going to have Bill Murphy joining us again for a quick tech talk section. And he'll be enlightening us on a couple of new little techie pieces of equipment that are going to be coming out or that are out there right now. So let's get back into some more news. What else do you have going for us, Bree?
Well, I came across this article this week. I just thought you'd like to talk about it, Dee. Did you know Sylvia Browne? Everyone knows who Sylvia Browne is.
Yes.
The self-proclaimed psychic,
yes.
Whatever, medium. I didn't know this. Now, did you know that she, I guess, was arrested at some point with her ex-husband about securities fraud, sorry.
Really?
Yes.
Sylvia?
She pleaded no contest to securities fraud charges, and her ex-husband, she and her ex-husband were arrested and charged with, I think it was like 8 or 9 counts of grand theft and investment fraud. They sold securities in a gold mining venture under false pretenses, and they were taking people's money and siphoning it into an account for she had something called the Nirvana Foundation for Psychic Research, and it went bankrupt eventually. Now it's the Sylvia Browne Corporation, but she is I just thought you'd think that was funny.
Unbelievable. How long ago was that?
Ooh, I think it was, 6 years ago, something like that.
No kidding. And what is she doing? How is she free?
Well, she did serve, let's see, she had a year of probation, and she had to pay a pretty hefty fine. But, how is she still out and on shows? And I don't understand it. She has made so many claims that turned out to be false. I don't know if you guys have ever talked about that on the show, but all these appearances on Montel Williams, and, you know, there was one where a woman asked about, this was, I think, 2006 or something, a woman asked her about her deceased husband, and Sylvia flat out said he drowned. And the woman stated that her boyfriend, or it was her boyfriend, I guess, her boyfriend died in 9/11. And, you know, of course, Sylvia comes back saying, oh, well, maybe it's the water from the fire hoses, or I don't know. I mean, and there was a terrible one. A terrible one that she did was this little girl named Opal Jennings. This little 6-year-old girl was taken from her grandmother's front yard in 1999, and her grandmother appeared on Montel with Sylvia Brown, and Sylvia told her, this is so strange, Sylvia told this woman this outrageous story about Opal being abducted, taken to Japan, and sold into white slavery, but that she was still alive. Okay, like, that's strange enough, but sadly, I mean, 4 months later, the little girl was found. Of course, she was, you know, expired. They found her in Texas, and they determined that she had died shortly after she was abducted. She's just I mean, it's you know.
Well, yeah, didn't she, I thought on a radio show when the mining accident happened a few years ago, and they asked her, and she said, oh, everybody is still alive, and it, like a minute later it came out that they found out everybody in the, you know, cave were dead at that point. Yeah. And then that person, Tim, do you remember the story? What was it, a year ago, that kid that they found? That he's like a teenage boy now, and she had said, oh, no, he's dead. Yeah, he's definitely dead. And then they found him alive. He's been kind of captive for what was it, like 5 years, some insane amount of time. Mm-hmm. And the kid was still alive. Yeah, she's a hack. I don't understand.
She's the Rob Deere of striking out on psychic predictions. I don't know if you remember Rob Deere from the Milwaukee Brewers, but he barely made contact. When he did, he hit a home run, but most of the time he came up with air.
I just can't believe she's convinced. I don't know how she's made her way into such a huge thing. Everyone knows who she is. You know what I mean? It's so strange to me. Anyway, it's sad. Maybe
it's that contract with Satan she's got. We got to take another break here. We'll be back and get some more of the stories with you, Bree. Everybody stay tuned. You're listening to Darkness Radio. Good evening. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. Let me remind you again, tomorrow night, paranormal fans, tune in to Paranormal State on A&E. We're going to take the kids out of the normal paranormal spotlight. No more ghost chasing. We're taking them out to Gilliland's Ranch. I get to guest star in the episode along with Chad Kalick, and we're going to go out UFO hunting. I think you guys are going to be interested to see what we're able to capture on video, so I hope you will check that out. I believe it's 9 p.m. our time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for more information. Again, for those of you local here in Minnesota, I will be on KSTP's Twin Cities Live tomorrow at about 3 in the afternoon during that 3 to 4 segment. So hopefully you'll tune in. We're going to be talking about the show, talking about some other cool paranormal locations throughout Minnesota as well. So check that out. We're going to go back now into our national news correspondent, Bree Sanders. And Bree, we've got about 10, 11 minutes here to wrap up some stories before we go to Tech Talk with Bill Murphy. And for those of you that have PM'd Tim in private message in our live chat, Susan was very ill today and was unable to join us for a book review. We will have her back next week with a brand new book review. Thank you for asking, and thank you for sending well wishes for Susan as well. All right, Bree, where are we off to next in the United States? I've lost the line, Tim. There's nobody there. We've lost Bree Sanders, which is fine. We'll bring her back in on the line. We're having a little technical difficulty, but again, making a couple other mentions. I just mentioned the Paranormal State episode. We are going to get a chance to go out to Gilliland's Ranch. Darkness Radio is going to be hosting an event there in August 2009. We're going to go out there with our listeners, friends, family, relatives, have a great time investigating not one, not two, 3 nights of sky watching. We're going to be out there on a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, going home on Sunday. Everybody's allowed to come in there and check out what's going on with us, investigate the skies. You're going to be blown away. It's an amazing opportunity, so hopefully you will join us. And right now we're going to go back to our line. We do have Bree back online with us. Bree, let's get back into some news. Where in the United States are you taking us next for our story?
I was actually just going to touch on Robbie Thomas because you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, please.
And now he's a medium who, contrary to Sylvia Brown, I'm actually very impressed with what I've read about him. He's pretty accurate in his information, and he has helped police solve many cases, I believe, but he helped, a particular case that he solved was a missing child case. The child's name was Caesar, I think it's Kano, in 2007. And this was a sad case because Robbie was actually notified of the child's disappearance immediately, and only 4 hours afterwards he was able to provide the police pretty much the info they needed to know where he was, where Caesar was. But they didn't listen to him because, you know, they get so many people claiming they're psychics and they have info, and it's overwhelming, I'm sure. But it's just sad they didn't listen to him. It is thought that he actually was still alive when Robbie Thomas gave the police the location, and the boy's body was found 6 days later. But he had even given the police the murderer's name, who turned out to be a known child abuser and sex offender who lived right behind Caesar Kano's apartment. And when Robbie told the police that it was this guy, they just pretty much sent an officer over to question the guy. And he wasn't even arrested until several months later. And, you know, he was right. Robbie Thomas was right about who it was, where the boy was found, everything. And, again, they believe that the child was still alive when they went and questioned the guy.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with this guy this weekend, Bree. I told you, and he just blew me away. He was so intelligent, so gregarious, and I was hearing the stories of some of the cases that he's helped to solve, and it's crazy to me that he's gotten such great results doing these investigations. And, you know, I think the other weird thing was that this guy that killed the kid was trying to change his name to the kid's name as well.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was just really bizarre and awkward. You know, we're going to be working along with Robbie here in the future doing some events, and I'm just sold on him. I watched him do some amazing things this weekend at the Mid-South Paranormal Conference. Just really, really interesting, and I'm hoping that people will, you know, check him out. He's a pretty good guy.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, where else are we going to go here?
I actually have a story from Kansas City, where I am.
Wow, okay.
This was on the news. You can look it up on YouTube and see the video. You just look up, like, Haunted Kansas Gym. There's a gym here called the Anytime Gym. It's in Overland Park, Kansas, which is a little suburb of Kansas City, and they think it's haunted. The gym is a 24-hour gym, but they know that no one was in there. They have video of the last person leaving, and apparently on September 12th, the gym cameras caught what appears to be it looks kind of like an orb, but then sometimes it looks like just a light moving around on the floor. It doesn't really follow like a specific pattern. Well,
now you have some audio from this case too, right, Tim? From the news? No, this is serious. We got the news story when we were told that you were going to bring it on. This is really reported from the local news out there.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and play that out, Tim.
Kim Peterson was curious, too, when she reviewed security tapes a couple weeks ago and saw that motion sensors kicked cameras into action, and there wasn't any action in the gym.
So I just called my security company and said, you know, is there a light bulb going out? Do I need to get up and clean the lens? And they reviewed it and said, I have no idea what that is.
Security cameras caught a white orb wandering around the gym. The orb hovers and lingers near the dumbbells. It leaves the frame, then comes back, and kicked the motion sensors into action a total of 9 times between 2 and 4:30 in the morning.
I'm sure there's a logical explanation.
But not one Provision Security has been able to come up with in the last 2 weeks. Reps told us the system is activated by motion, but not just any motion. They say a bug wouldn't turn this model on, or dust. It would take much more than headlights passing by. 600 other clients have the same system, but none of them have ever recorded a mystery.
My 8-year-old said, maybe Grandpa's just making sure you're doing okay in your new business, Mom.
Could be a spirit. You know, nothing's impossible.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I've seen the video footage. That I see what you're talking about, Bree. It's got kind of a weird anomalous form to it, so it kind of looks like it's walking around in the gym, around the dumbbells and some of the other, I know, Tim, they have feelings, right?
They do have feelings.
Okay.
Don't call them dumbbells.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. All right, where do we go next? Where's our next story take us?
I have a story. Let's see. Earlier this month in West Virginia, it's Flatwoods, West Virginia. They gathered together to commemorate the crash landing of the alien creature known as the Flatwoods Monster. Have you ever heard about the Flatwoods Monster? I hadn't heard about it. But
no. Well, we had somebody on, I think, that briefly mentioned that on an episode like a year ago. But, yeah, go ahead. What was he doing?
Well, I'll give you some background on it. The creature was said to have landed near the town about 56 years ago, so it was a while ago. And the story is that on September 12th is a crazy day, apparently, 1952, several residents of the town claimed to have they thought they saw a UFO. And at the same time, there were several witnesses who said they spotted a crash on a nearby farm. And they ran over to see what it was, and they said that they found it's like a flashing ball of fire, and the air was filled with some kind of heavy mist or gas. And apparently under a tree close by, they saw this creature who was kind of making kind of a hissing noise, I guess, like this really shrill hissing noise. And they got scared and ran away. Now, the area was investigated by authorities, and they said that they didn't find anything there. But one man from the newspaper said that he went there and that there was still this kind of a gross, burnt metallic smell in the air. Okay. And in the days following their encounter, the witnesses had persistent nose and throat irritations. One witness even had severe nausea and I guess was having convulsions. And a week before this happened, a mother and daughter claimed to have encountered kind of the same creature. And they were so startled by it, the little girl had to be hospitalized for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it's kind of freaky, but
yeah, no doubt.
They had a gathering this month, and it also featured the Mothman, which is another West Virginia famous creature. And they put on a play, I guess. The Flatwoods Monster meets the Mothman. Just
it's a love story. I love that story.
I guess, yeah. And they also had, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, I think last week, they had the Mothman Festival. It's the 7th annual Mothman Festival, and thousands of people show up for that. They have, like, hayrides, music and food, and I guess there's actually a band called the Mothman Band that plays there. And most people, I assume, know what the Mothman is. If not, you should look it up or see. Mothman Prophecies was a cool movie. I don't know how accurate that was. But
yeah, they said not very. Cool. It takes place in contemporary time, but
right.
Yeah, but the general, I guess, from what I've read and understand, the general idea and theory behind the Mothman movie was very close.
Okay. And there's a little story, I guess, Cleveland this week. Some residents in Cleveland reported seeing a bright light shoot through the sky early Thursday morning between 6:15 and 6:25 a.m., and they described it as kind of a little fireball. And they said it was bright blue and yellow. Some people said it was green and red. It was also said to have a tail.
But it could have been purple or orange, right?
Yellow moons, blue stars.
Green clovers.
Right. Well, they said it had a tail 8 feet long, which I don't know how you even judge that from that distance, but it lasted about 5 seconds. And people who saw it swear that it was not a meteor. But,
but people lie. I know what you're saying.
People do lie.
All right.
And do we have time for more?
Yeah, we've got time for, I think, a couple more. We have about 2-3 minutes left here.
Oh, cool. Okay. I actually have a pretty cool one. Let's see. Last week we talked about, the Army developing those thought helmets.
Right.
If everyone remembers that. The helmets that can read brainwaves and turn them into messages for other people to hear.
Yes.
Well, this week I ran across an article about something that reminded me of that. It's something else the U.S. is developing, and this is actually being developed by the Department of Homeland Security. And they're calling it, they called it Project Hostile. I think they changed the name now to FAST. It stands for Future Attribute Screening Technologies.
Okay.
Let's see. It will be a system that's designed to detect hostile thoughts in people walking through border posts, airports, and public places.
AKA the thought turban.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's crazy. It's starting to freak me out, all this. I don't know. Anyway, they have sensors that can spot people who are supposedly up to no good or something, and it spots it from their pulse, their breathing, their skin temperature, or fleeting facial expressions, which I'm not sure what that means.
What if I pass gas as I'm going over the border and I tweak my face and then there's like a heat anomaly around me all of a sudden, Tim?
You're going to jail, buddy.
That's obviously the point. That's frightening.
It's freaky. I mean, and they say, they've tested it on a group of people, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. They basically sent 140 people to some equestrian ranch, and they had, I guess they had them walk through these trailers that they had equipped with infrared cameras, infrared heat sensors, and this thing called an eye-safe laser radar that takes your pulse and breathing rate from a distance. And they told some of them to be evasive and deceptive and hostile. And so they told them to behave one way or another. And they claim that from this experiment, they have 78% accuracy on bad intent and 80% on detection. So whatever. I don't know how they can judge that on something they've set up. Nobody's actually trying to be deceptive. You know what I mean? But
well, I got bad news for you. I don't know a guy in the world that doesn't like go into like a James Bondy looking place and doesn't automatically start thinking about, running around shooting or being a spy as you're crossing the border. I mean, don't you, Tim, that's natural stupid man attitude, don't you think?
I'm just looking the security guards up and down.
Exactly.
I don't know about you. Not in a threatening way, just kind of in a, hey there, nice uniform.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's right. I think we're going to start running into trouble if they're starting to, it's what isn't that the whole idea of that Tom Cruise movie from a few years ago, Minority Report, Tim? They're actually tapping in to see crimes happen before, so they go arrest people before it even occurs.
Yep, just to prevent it.
Yeah, no, that's where it starts getting into the thought police. That's kind of freaky.
Well, what's freaky is, like, what if something malfunctions? You know what I'm saying? It's so much dependency on technology. It's scary. I don't know. And the other thing they mentioned in the article was how secure is the system. Like, people with heart problems and heart murmurs and arrhythmias, you know what I mean? It's going to pick up their heart rate as being abnormal. And people with respiratory problems. And, I mean, even if they're not in trouble over it, it could be considered an invasion of privacy. It's pretty crazy how intense it's getting.
Yeah, no doubt. We've got to wrap up here with you. We're going to take our last break for this first hour, come back with more Tech Talk with Bill Murphy. So thank you very much, Bree. We look forward to hearing more stories next week.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. And you guys, stay tuned. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Stay tuned for more. Good evening and welcome back to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. It's time, Tim, for Tech Talk with Bill Murphy. Good evening, Billy. How are you?
Oh, hold on. There he is.
There we go. Bill, how are you, sir?
He's
Bill?
there. He just said hi at the same time you did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. So you got some more tech stuff to talk to us about this week?
I do, actually.
All right. What's going on?
Well, this first bit is about companies that are offering services for communicating with the afterlife. So one of them is called the Phone Angel. Now, we talked a bit about this one before, but I didn't really find the company until recently. So Phone Angel has built a weatherproof cell phone that has a speakerphone function in it, and they mount that in the casket. And it's got rechargeable batteries. I think it's going through a solar cell that they mount on top of the grave.
What?
Yeah, Phone Angel. So you can speak with the dearly departed from anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world. And,
oh, my God, this is like a nightmare for me, Bill. The one thing that drives me crazy, I told Tim this, if I ever go into a coma, just put an old-fashioned phone next to me that all it does is ring. It'll drive me insane. I will come out of a coma to answer the damn phone. But if you put me in the casket, and, oh, God forbid, you are just still in there, and somebody's just calling me, Tim will be like crank calling me all the time.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I can't answer the phone. It would drive me nuts.
Well, then maybe this is not for you.
Well, what? Okay, so here's the deal. Your hands are folded on your chest in front of you. There's no real room in a casket. How do you reach up and hit the answer button?
It's a really good question. Maybe it's voice activated or thought activated.
Or scratch activated?
Oh, God.
I don't know.
Oh, that's horrifying. They're really doing this?
The Phone Angel is available.
It's available. And if you order now, we'll throw in a second Phone Angel.
You know, my Phone Angel costs 99 cents a minute, and she sounds heavenly.
Oh, my God.
That's perfect. It's actually really popular in Japan, although it started off in Germany. The Japanese have really taken to it, apparently. So the next one is another company offering a service for the same thing, communicating, but they do this one a little bit different. Endless Echoes. They have a 95 cents per minute service where you can call into their company and leave a voicemail, and they blast it into outer space with a series of satellites. So they're operating under the theory that the souls sort of hang out in outer space just outside of our own atmosphere. So for $24.95, you too can blast your message into outer space. Endless Echoes.
Really? Okay. Well, that's an interesting point. Boy, people will just spend money on anything, won't they, Tim?
You got it.
We're missing we got to get into this market, man. Somehow we're just missing out on the whole thing. All right. What else do we got going on?
Well, we have another one, Afterlife Telegram Service. Now, Afterlife Telegram Service, this one's really interesting. They maintain a team of terminally ill patients who promise, for a fee of $5 per word, to memorize any message you want to send to someone in the great beyond, and they will deliver it personally when they reach the other side. So Afterlife Telegrams, it's a real company. And they do have some big disclaimers. They say that they guarantee nothing, many things can go wrong, and reincarnation can complicate things.
That's kind of what it sounded like when I got married. That was the addendum I put on it for my wives.
I remember.
I promise you nothing, and many things will go wrong. Wow. So, Tim, yeah, definitely. We got to start putting our maybe text message to the dead.
I love it.
You think so?
Yep. I think we could get more teenagers involved that way.
Yes, exactly. Oh, no, that's so wrong.
You never talk to your
Telegram service. They do have another disclaimer. It says that if going into the great beyond, there's segregation into heaven, hell, and purgatory, it's possible that the messenger will not be sent to the same place as the addressee. So, again, no guarantees, but the service is available.
And it's run by the U.S. Mail.
I don't know where this one's actually based.
Well, if it's not guaranteeing that it's going to get there, it's run by the U.S. Mail.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps.
All right. Wow, you got anything else for us going on?
Well, I do. And, Dave, I think you may have experienced this when you were in New York visiting the production offices for Paranormal State. They have the outdoor billboard that advertises Paranormal State, the show.
Right.
And as you walk by, depending on where you're standing by, you hear, "Who's there? It's not your imagination." But people around you don't hear it. So this technology is created by a company called Holosonic. So, Dave, I'm not sure if you heard that, if you saw the sign.
No, I didn't. I had heard that they'd done some kind of strange advertising for the show, yes. but it's actually, so how is it telegraphing it to you and you only?
Well, it uses what's effectively referred to as an audio spotlight, even though audio is sound and light is visible. That's what they're calling it, an audio spotlight. And the way it works is that they take a regular sound file, in this case they use the woman whispering, and they convert it into an ultrasonic frequency that humans cannot hear. Now, an ultrasonic wave can be aimed. It's very, very directional, kind of like a spotlight beam. And you can aim it at particular points, and if somebody is passing into that point, they don't hear the higher frequency sound wave, but the air and the objects where the beam is aimed to vibrate, and those objects and the air actually recreates the sound. So the human voice works perfectly for this application because it's right in the audio wavelength that you want it to be for the vibrations to go almost inside your ear.
Well, you know what's interesting to me about that then, Bill? You know, one of the things I theorized, when I grew up in Medina, Illinois, and a lot of the people in our town would report the same thing. We would hear conversations at night, what sounded almost like parties, things like that going on. But we were all fan sleepers. Everybody I knew had fans down in their basement and, fans around the house when you'd sleep. And we'd hear this noise, you turn off your fan or the white sound and it seemed to vanish. And just like in the last 2 years here, one of the things I started to theorize, right down the street from us was the Medina Golf Course, which every weekend had some kind of wedding or bar mitzvah or party or something going on there. So the sound waves are out there, right? We know that the sound waves that we're recording right now are traveling. They just need something to bounce off, right? In your ear, you've got the hammer, which hits the little drum, which sends the vibrations for you to understand and be able to discern the words that you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So these sound waves, are they hitting the back of the fan, which is in effect creating like the eardrum effect, which allows you to hear things that may be a distance or a great distance away from you, but it helps the sound waves travel, and now it has a template or something to hit against to actually create the sound, and that almost sounds like what they're doing with this technology.
Perhaps. It's actually really interesting. The speakers that they've created, they look like a honeycomb. There's just these flat discs, and there's a little point in the middle of the honeycomb that appears to be the emitter, the high-frequency emitter. But they can actually aim it anywhere at individuals. So some of the videos I was looking at reviewing the technology, they used a crowded library as a place that would aim the speaker at individuals studying or reading a book, and from a balcony, they just talk into a microphone, which is plugged into the holosonic speaker, and just those individuals that it's being beamed to are the ones that pop up and look around because they don't know where the sound is coming from, because it doesn't appear to be directional to them. It appears that it's coming from inside their heads. So it scares some people.
Oh, boy, that's just frightening technology all over. Well, Bill, thanks a lot for sharing some more stories with us this week. And again, if you have tech pieces out there, you see weird stories, you want to talk to Bill, Bree, Adrian, any of our specialists, you can go to darknessradio.com, click on the news desk, and there you'll find links to all of them. Bill, thanks for being with us again tonight, and let us know when you get some more stories for us.
I always have more, Dave. I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Great.
And everybody stay tuned. We're going to be back with more. We have Richard Felix, the historian from Most Haunted, who is also a paranormal investigator and historian. He's going to tell us about some amazing haunts that he's been on over the last year. He's also going to talk to us about a cool event that he has coming up on Halloween, so stay tuned. And in the third hour of the show, from 11 to midnight, we're going to be joined by Patrick Burns from True TV's Haunting Evidence. The new season kicks off on October 4th. He's going to tell us a little bit about it and talk to us about the paranormal. Stay tuned. You're listening to the best in paranormal talk radio.